What a week it's been. As we roll into the final week before Christmas, I have to look back at last week, and I've been putting this video off. And in fact, I should probably be in bed now. It's 1 o'clock, and I've got a long day ahead of me. But I know that this next week is going to be crazy when it comes to work, so I have to make this video tonight, or else it's not going to happen at all. So, yeah, don't worry about the Christmas hat. I just felt like wearing one because, like, we have the 1 little inch of snow that we will have until Christmas. It's going to be a green Christmas this year, which is going to suck. Also, I'm working Christmas, which means I will have no Christmas spirit whatsoever. But what I wanted to talk about is I went to the movies 6 times last week, and I saw 5 of the movies I saw I had not seen before. And I just basically wanted to get on camera and talk about some of the films, because basically what happens is every year on the 13th of December, which is a Swedish specific like Christmas holiday, which is called Lucia. It's like my Simpsons calendar out in my kitchen, which has all like world dates on it, world holidays, has that on it. And it's kind of weird because it's about, well, I think it's from the get-go an Italian saint, and yet we're the ones that get credited for celebrating that Italian saint, and we're not even religious anymore. But anyway, every single year the Swedish like film distributor has a Lucia movie night where they show 3 previews, like for movies that haven't come out yet, back to back, for over 6 hours of fun in the movie theater. And I did not go last year, because last year I was not really sure I could handle it, my ears being the way they are. I was kind of unsure how my ears would react to be sitting in a loud movie theater, so I tended to just go to see the very few bare essential films I felt were necessary, which, juxtaposed with at least the 80 like the 80 times I visited the cinema this year, makes me kind of feel like, well, I was being, like, I missed opportunities. Films I should have gone to see that I did not see, and I regret for a while. But anyway, I was going to this, and I was fucking psyched. I knew that my friend went last year, and that one of the films he got to see out of the 3 was Easy A. So I was like sitting there, like, hoping for something big. I know that the Stockholm Film Festival, for example, they showed 50-50, you know, the dramedy starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Seth Rogen, and I was like really sitting there hoping for that. Maybe Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, like something hardcore. Before I get into that even, I feel like before I even talk about the main Lucia movie night, I decided to go all in. Like I think my record for movie visits during one week is 7 films. I don't remember when. I think it was Tangled week. I went to see Tangled like 3 times in 1 week, plus 2 or 3 other movies. So I went to see like a crazy amount of movies. But except for, I'm pretty sure I saw 7. But this is a 6 week, like a 6 movie week. But I think I also beat the amount of movies I went to see in 1 day by not only going to see a movie night, but also waking up and going to see a movie before that, because basically how the Swedish movie system works is that you can have like a bonus card that's free that you just like swipe every time you buy a movie ticket, and you accumulate points every single, you know, crown or like that you spend, crown being the currency, becomes a point on the card. And I have something like 3,000 points on my card, which has resulted in me, you know, for 800 points, basically, you can buy a movie ticket for free. And I was like, you know what, I never use these points. They're going to forfeit those points in a year if I don't use them. So I decided if I'm gonna do this, I might as well, you know, go see a movie before the movie night. So I went to see Midnight in Paris, a film which I saw a couple of months ago when it first came out here. And I'm pretty stunned that this movie has somehow, because of old people, it just shows who goes to movies the longest period of time. And it's old people, basically. Old people, and surprisingly a couple of very cute girls, because cute girls go to see cultivating movies, I guess. Like cultural things. So this movie that came out in like September has survived this long, and I think it's really impressive. So I decided, you know what, I don't know how long they're going to be showing it, so I'll just go see it one more time, get a free showing, lose some of my points that I'll never use, and just relax before the movie night. And I'm glad I did, because I wanted to review this movie when it first came out, because this is one of those movies that I love, and I understand. I have friends who hate it, and some of them, I kind of feel like I don't think they have like, they can't really provide reason why they hate it, and I don't like that. I don't like it when people can just say, I hate it because it's stupid, because it just makes you feel like you're stupid because you can't even explain properly when I'm asking you. Just give me like a couple of sentences why you didn't like it, and that's good enough for me. But I'm just going to go with a rundown of this film, just explain it. Not even going to go into a real plot synopsis because I'm too tired and don't have time. But basically, it's Woody Allen's latest movie, and yeah, Midnight in Paris. It's a movie about Owen Wilson plays a writer named Gil something or other. He's a screenwriter in Hollywood, screenwriter / script doctor, you know, guy that fixes other people's scripts, and he's starting to really hate it because he always dreamt about being a real writer, and he feels like screenwriting is just like, it's not real writing because of the fact that you're not really fully developing stuff, you're just writing the skeletal outlines in some cases for other people's work. I mean, he doesn't really detest the screenwriting as much as I think just the fact that he can't write the screenplays he wants to write himself. The studios say, yo, write this, and he'll write it, and he's good at it, but he wants to be good at writing his own stuff and getting his own stories told, which, of course, he can't express the way he's doing it now. He is engaged to be married to Rachel McAdams' character, Inez, again, something or other, I don't remember her last name. And they're in Paris because her father is closing a business deal. And right from the get-go, I understand why people can have a problem with this movie, because basically all the modern-day characters, this is a time travel movie, I should just say that off the bat. The entire plot of the film is that Owen Wilson, during a nightly stroll, realizes that he can sort of like, just completely unexplained, travel back to what he considered to be the heyday of Paris, the 1920s, and kick it with all these old classic, you know, now cultural icons. And it's kind of funny how Owen Wilson is the only likable character in this movie. Like Gil, and it's not because Gil is immensely complex or majorly sympathetic. It's one of those tropes, you know, where you can make a character that's not really that special or developed likable simply by making all the characters that he's surrounded by completely fucking idiotic. That's this movie in a nutshell. And again, you hear how I'm analyzing and saying it, it sounds like a big problem. You have Inez, who right before, like from the start, you wonder why she's even in Paris, because he's like, they're standing in like Monet's garden, or whatever it is, you know, they're standing on a bridge in a garden where they're looking over the water lilies, because Monet always painted water lilies. And he's all like, and Owen Wilson is doing his surly voice thing, like, imagine Monet standing here for hours painting this. I could really see myself moving to Paris. With the voice that Owen Wilson always has. Which is infuriating, but I actually like in this film. This is probably the movie that should be known as the film where I tolerated Owen Wilson for the first time outside of a Wes Anderson film. Anyway, and everything he says, like romanticizing the Paris scene or whatever, is immediately rebuffed by Inez or her parents or any of the other characters as pretty much just being like, well, I don't like this Paris stuff. I like America. And basically it's Woody Allen taking a stab at the Tea Party Republicans, because they pretty much, like, they do establish that Inez's parents are Tea Partyists. And you can tell which, like, where politically Woody Allen stands, at least, like, at least, you know, if you look at the Tea Partiers, maybe he's a Republican. I highly doubt that Woody Allen is a Republican, but, you know, still. But anyway, let's see, so all the characters in modern day, except for Gil, and a few except for some side characters that are very minor, they're all annoying as fuck, and you're not supposed to like them. So it's a cheap trick to make you like Gil, is to make you dislike everyone else. Even if you find them entertaining in some way, which you do, it's pretty clear that the way the film tries to make Gil a likable protagonist is make everyone else completely unlikable and stupid. And it works. And again, I don't really find it a big problem, because I guess maybe I'm just weak for Paris, because Ratatouille, this film, basically any film that I've seen that's taken place in Paris, or like even in just like rural, like the French countryside, basically has me hooked right away. I guess you just, you know, get up and go there, finally. But yeah, the whole focus of this film is when Gil gets to travel back to the 1920s and see the era in Hollywood that the era in Los Angeles. See? Thing is, I was thinking about this with a friend. I was talking about it and saying that basically, without saying too much about the movies, like the movie's plot, because I don't want to give it away, is that, of course, through the movie is like the theme that everyone has, like that one period they wish they could go back to, because everyone has like the one historical period, or several, but you have to have that one you more than any would wish you could have experienced. For me, it's Los Angeles in the 1940s, because that's when a lot of my favorite movies were made. That's when It's a Wonderful Life came out. That's when Casablanca came out. All these fantastic movies that I love, and I, of course, just gave 2 examples, but so many movies came out then. That's right after Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind. Hollywood was developing. Film noir was big. Like, all these films I love. And I am fully aware that if I were from the 1940s, I would probably want to go back even further or something, because, again, it's the hindsight. It's the hindsight of knowing what came out of that decade that makes me love it so much. But that's why when I'm trying to say that Gil comes back to 1920s Paris, I say Los Angeles, because I'm sort of thinking about my own dream decade, dream era. But the focus is of Gil going back in time, and when he gets to the 1920s, he meets all these famous people. Like, he basically, like, on a fucking conveyor belt. It's like the movie thrusts new characters at you. And it gets to the point where even though you're sitting there kind of like thinking, this is totally fucking stupid, it's still really enjoyable to just wonder what character will come up next. Because the movie has this really impressive cast. You got Adrian Brody, Kathy Bates, and of course I was already mentioned Rachel McAdams and Owen Wilson. You have Alison Pill from Scott Pilgrim, which is just amazingly fun to see in something else. Yeah, there are some other actors in there, but I'm again tired. I can't really mention them. But even the actors aren't the thing that's fun. It's not the actors themselves. It's just the characters they portray. Whether the characters are accurate or not. The thing is, you've heard all these names, and even if you don't have a lot of like connection to them, which I personally don't. I don't know a whole lot about Cole Porter or Linda Porter for that matter, but I heard the names, and either way, it's hilariously funny to see Owen Wilson's reaction after he hears who they are, and he's like, "Oh, what the hell's going on?" Like he does have a freak out moment where he's like lying in bed after his first night visiting old Paris, and he's like lying in his bed having this existential crisis. He's like, "I'm not crazy. I spent the entire night with Cole Porter and Scott and Linda Fitzgerald. I am Gil Pender." I remembered his name. "I am Gil Pender. I am not crazy." And it's funny. It's really damn funny. I don't really want to say a whole lot more about this movie because I'm really endorsing it. It has a lot of flaws, but I love this movie anyway because of its setting, its playfulness. I guess that's the main thing. And the thing I've been trying to explain to people is this movie has a playful nature. And a playful nature can save a film that has plot holes, that has just like has leaps in logic. I don't think this movie has plot holes as much as leaps in logic, simply because the movie never is really grounded in any real physical reality. And I love the fact, in fact, I myself have a story I'm writing, which has nothing to do with this movie in any way. It's not a similar story at all, but I'm writing a story myself that has like a slight supernatural element to it. And I was explaining to some friends that I felt like this supernatural element would be best left unexplained. Very few people understand that sometimes not explaining why something happens is better than giving a reason. I'm going to say right away, Midnight in Paris gives you no reason why Owen Wilson can travel back in time when he's standing on a specific street corner at 12 o'clock in Paris. That reason never comes up. And you know what? This film would probably be worse off if it gave that reason. Now take a movie that I already reviewed, In Time, which did not give a reason. That movie can go fuck itself, because that movie is a science fiction film. It is not, like, except for this one time travel element in Midnight in Paris, the entire rest of the movie is grounded in reality. I mean, obviously, hey, time travel is the main plot of the film, but except for that one little detail of the actual time traveling, there isn't really anything supernatural going on, or any real science fiction. In Time is an entirely science fiction-y world, which just in the first minute, pretty much just in exposition, tell you we couldn't figure out a good reason for why this thing, how time became a currency, and that is not the same thing as just being able to sort of write off a reason because it would hurt the film if you gave a reason. In Time was a stupid enough science fiction movie already. Giving a reason would have probably only made it either like unintentionally funny or actually maybe a little more clever. You couldn't really lose either way. Now, okay, I've already wasted a lot of time, and I gotta get into the main reason why I was making this video. So I went to see a movie night just like 8 hours after I went to see Midnight in Paris. And fuck God me, I was so wrong about my picks. No Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. No 50-50. My biggest hope of all was, of course, either Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, which I always knew was not going to happen, because the day after was the gala premiere here in Stockholm, and also, I was hoping maybe because, well, you know, it's not a Swedish, you know, movie, but it is made in Sweden, and it's based on a Swedish novel. It takes place in Stockholm. Maybe they'd let us get it first and see it before anyone else. Of course, I knew it wasn't going to happen. But my biggest hope was the fucking Muppets. And there was this one moment where I was almost sure that they were going to give us the Muppets, because like the guy was in the lead. The thing is, this entire thing was secret. No, we didn't know what the previews were. They just said, "Come here and watch these previews in secret." And like the motherfucker gave us a lead-in line for the second film. It was like, "Well, this movie's in 3D, and well, maybe you can guess what it is. If I say green and swamp, what do you think of?" And I'm sitting there like, "Kermit the fucking Frog!" And it's like, oh, you mean fucking Shrek and Puss in fucking Boots. Which turned out to be my favorite movie of the three. Which also should point out that these other two movies were not really that good. And it was a really disappointing event at all. But still, you cannot give me that in lead-in line. Just, you know, I got fucking class, man. It's not easy being green, bitch. Not that motherfucking little fucking fat ogre, which I like also. But don't give me this, oh, if I say a swamp and green, you'd think Puss in... No. If you say hairball and god-awfully annoying in the third and fourth installments, then I think of Puss in Boots. But god damn it, I was disappointed with the picks. And again, I'll get back to Puss in Boots. I don't really want to talk that much about that one, because I can summarize that one pretty easily. But this did not start off well. We get in there, and the movie starts like half an hour late, and the guy comes up, and it is the worst. Like, it's one of those, like, I had a Swedish film that I was really scared that would show. They did not show it. They showed a different Swedish film, which I actually liked, surprisingly. And I'm not going to talk about that because, well, because let's face it, I want this to be an internationally appealing thing, even though it's only my friends on Facebook that ever watch it. So I'm not really going to talk about a Swedish film. Maybe just mention it and say that I liked it by name. But anyway, the first fucking movie ruined it all right from the start and made me nervous. When he walks up and says, well, you know, this time of the year is coming up. And it's like, it starts like doing this really stupid, alluding to what it is. And it's like, I'm like, oh God, no. No. It's like, we're gonna watch New Year's Eve! And I'm like, oh fuck no. Fuck no. Oh holy fucking shit, no. No, no, no. No. Not New Year's fucking Eve. Not Ashton Kutcher. Not that motherfucking smiling, smug, untalented jackass. And, oh God. New Year's Eve. I saw Valentine's Day because I gotta admit, I have sort of a semi-crush on Taylor Swift. I like her music. It's soothing in a way. It's kind of fun. It's not... I like it. And therefore I thought, you know, I'll watch this stupid movie, and also because I like having stuff to complain about. Which is why I am glad I got to see New Year's Eve, because no matter if it got good or bad reviews, it is the spiritual sequel to Valentine's Day, and the middle installment of, what the fuck is his name? How can I forget his name? Like, ugh, shit. This stupid Pretty Woman director, I'm surprised, not Garry Ross, but it's something like that. The middle installment of his fantastic, like, holiday trilogy. God damn it. If the third movie is Christmas, I will kill someone, because that movie already exists. It's called Love Actually, and no matter what kind of fucking stuff you put in the third one, Mr. Director, you will not, all three of your movies will not even come close to matching the talent, the wit, and the enjoyment I feel when I watch Love Actually. So right away, you failed. But anyway, I saw the first one. God damn, I'm trying to figure out his name, and I can't do it. Anyway, I saw Valentine's Day, so I thought I had to go back to see this. I had seen it, so I'm glad almost glad I just you know, jumped on me without me even having to like consciously either buy a ticket or buy the Blu-ray. This way, I just sort of got in the movie theater and I saw it, and then it was over. But okay. For those who don't know anything about Valentine's Day, it's basically just throwing, like just calling, like the director calling up all his friends in Hollywood, be like, hey Jessica Biel, you want to be in my movie? Oh, cool, yeah, okay, yeah, well, I gotta call Sarah Jessica Parker, I gotta call John Bon Jovi, Katherine Heigl, Ashton Kutcher, and all these other people so they can be in it too. And it's basically like a compilation of short stories starring different characters by different actors, and just letting them do their thing for 10 minutes apiece in this horrible 1 hour and 45-minute mess of crap. Awful, awful, awful. And basically what this movie is, which I actually started thinking about when the movie came on, was it's like the movie is pulling itself out of the screen like this. And like even though this movie wasn't in 3D, I almost felt like there was a 3D element to it, where the film, like the actual celluloid, was like pulling itself out of the fucking like screen. And like if you have the right hand, that is a horrible, horrible actor that you can't stand, and who's never made a good movie, with maybe one or two exceptions, which is the reason why they have a career at all. And then you have the left hand, which is a really, really talented actor that has just started making crap and deserves better than this film. And it's like this entire the movie introduces characters like, you know, on a steady roll for the first 20 minutes, and it is awful. It is like it really takes turns. Like, okay, here you go. Zac Efron. I hate Zac Efron. He's never made a good movie. One of the few people in this movie that I don't like, whom I actually might think has a career if he just, you know, gets it together. So anyway, Zac Efron. Hilary Swank. Why are you in this movie? Ashton Kutcher. Michelle Pfeiffer. And I keep going with that, like John Lithgow. Boom. That fucking girl from Glee, Leah Michelle, or whatever her name is. Okay, Robert De Niro, kabam! Katherine Heigl, Halle Berry, John Bon Jovi, in this entire movie, it's a raping of my senses. The dialogue is atrociously bad. The characters' problems are incredibly stupid. It's like almost the best damn plot in this entire movie is it basically involves the only acceptable plots in this film at all are pretty much the veteran actors. Something like Michelle Pfeiffer is playing this woman who is emotionally distraught. She is just a fucking shell of a human being, and she decides when finding out what her Christmas bonus is, end of the year bonus, she just fuck this. She just quits her job, and she has some tickets to some hot event that Zac Efron really wants to go to. So she makes a deal with Zac Efron, who is a delivery guy, that he can have the tickets to this event if he helps her with some things she's always wanted to do all her life. And again, yeah, so that's why I kind of like Zac Efron in this movie, is because of the fact that he's following around her and helping her do this stuff, even though he is a smug jackass who openly, towards the end, yeah, I'm spoiling this fucking piece of garbage, I'm gonna save you the fucking time. He loudmouths. He's also friends with. He's roomies with Ashton Kutcher. I think that proves how much of a jackass and douche this character is. He's pretty much just standing 10 yards away from Michelle Pfeiffer. He's standing there with his cell phone, yeah. This woman just gave me tickets to the hottest event of the year, hottest New Year's party ever. Yeah, she's innocent. She's kind of crazy though. Hey, it's like douche. Fuck you. You don't deserve anything. But anyway, Michelle Pfeiffer's character is kind of funny. It's not one of the less excruciatingly painful. Again, Hilary Swank also, who's supposed to be the one she's the main she's supposed to coordinate the ball drop, and that's a stupid story arc. In fact, you don't really get anything to care about with her until you realize that she's linked to another character of importance towards the end. Okay, again, I tried to spoil this. She's linked to Robert De Niro. And that's pretty much it, because again, yeah, they link the good actors. It's they've linked all except Michelle Pfeiffer and John Lithgow are pretty much the only two good actors that aren't completely linked together. Because you have Hilary Swank and Robert De Niro, and Halle Berry are all linked together, so their story arcs sort of intertwine with each other. Halle Berry doesn't really have a point to be in this movie except, well, a cameo, because the fucking director knew her or something, and what the fuck is his name? Garry Marshall? It's something terrible like that. And I can't believe it. I've known this name for the last couple of goddamn weeks, and now I'm blanking on it. I'm gonna blank on it through the rest of the review, unless maybe it is Garry Marshall. I don't know. It doesn't really even matter. This movie's still fucking terrible. The only new non-veteran actor whose plot I kind of thought was okay, and that's also because it's the dumbest one of them all, and therefore feels the least, painstakingly boring and annoying, is Abigail Breslin, whose big and entire plot point is that, oh, but Mom, I want to go to a New Year's party at Times Square because I'm gonna kiss the boy I like, the boy who happens to be played by that jerk-ass little brother from Wizards of Waverly Place. You might tell I'm tired. I'm almost drunk because I'm tired. See, this is becoming unstructured, but that's because I feel like the movie doesn't have any structure. It's hard to care about anyone when everyone's story is just basically 10 minutes at the most. And Katherine Heigl, fuck you. Katherine Heigl made one movie that was good with Knocked Up. And even that movie, she proved that she did not understand, because with that movie, she straight up said in some interview somewhere, I don't remember which magazine it was, but she made an interview where she straight up said, I don't get my character. Why is she such a bitch? She's such a killjoy. She didn't understand the fact that she was not the bitch of the movie. And yet she herself goes out and says that she doesn't understand her character. I guess you're supposed to say that's a testament to good acting because she still stole the role. But if you do not understand that your character is not the bad guy or in any way in the wrong in the film you're in, you're stupid, because your character was pretty much the only character in Knocked Up that did not have any distinct, really, flaws that needed to be fixed, and like an over anxious mother who is uncertain about what kind of role the father will play. Yeah, guess what? Your character acted the way your character probably should have acted. Give or take a few things that had nothing to do with what you stated in that magazine. Ashton Kutcher plays the goddamn character. He's Jessica Biel from Valentine's Day, who's in this movie as well, which doesn't make any sense because she's playing two different characters, which I guess means she and Ashton Kutcher both have to be in the third one as well because they're both in the other two. And I'm personally hoping that will either be St. Patrick's Day or Thanksgiving, which I'm wondering about Thanksgiving because basically the United States and Canada are the only countries that celebrate Thanksgiving, and they celebrate them on different days. So that movie can't really be marketed to any other country, so that might be why that movie won't get made. But anyway, so they just switched. He plays the I hate New Year's Eve without any distinct reason because I'm Ashton Kutcher and I don't have a job and I have that stupid loser beard that I usually have in my reviews, but I've shaved off. He's incredibly annoying. He doesn't really have a plot you care about, and his arc's conclusion is pretty much non-existent. I honestly don't even really know what to say about this movie. As I said, the script is awful. The cameos are terrible in a lot of ways. John Lithgow's in this for a scene, and it's not even a good scene, so I don't understand why they got him in there to begin with. And then, again, the characters, their problems, and this whole, just like with Valentine's Day, which I feel this movie fails at even more, this whole thing of trying to somehow make New Year's Eve into something it's not. I don't care for romanticizing of days. They're just days. If there is one day that can, again, I've already told you that you should not try this holiday because it's the most overexposed. If there's one holiday that I love the romanticizing of, it's Christmas. I'm wearing a hat. I hate Christmas because it never turns out the way I want it to. But I love Christmas for what it's supposed to represent. But this movie is focused on a holiday which I honestly think the first How I Met Your Mother New Year's special summed up a whole lot better than this one did. This movie is bad. It does not work. It does not make New Year's Eve feel any more special than it should feel. In fact, it makes it feel less special. It does not capture what New Year's Eve is to me. And granted, I am not the person that lives in the United States and therefore does not see the ball drop every year. But for me, New Year's Eve does not really symbolize anything. And I don't really think it should symbolize anything incredibly in depth for anyone else either. There are other holidays that are more important, that have better values. And I know that you're talking about how you're supposed to think about where the year that's gone by and what the future holds is what New Year's is all about. But it's not. I think Christmas is more about that. I think All Saints' Day, which we celebrate here in Europe, is more about that. There are other holidays that have that message, and they do convey it a lot better than New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, and this movie fails to show that side, and ironically, Ashton Kutcher is the only character that says it right, and even though he says it in a horrible way, people that usually don't drink all of a sudden turn around and become all Kanye on you. It's a horrible night where people get drunk and fight and do stupid things. And don't tell me I'm hanging out with the wrong people, because I usually, at this point, I've gotten to the point where I do one thing on New Year's Eve. I sit at home and I watch the shittiest fucking movie I can find just to remind myself that I have not moved my fucking ass for one full year. 2 years ago it was G.I. Joe. I don't even remember the movie I watched last year. And this year I'm thinking of Piranha 3D. Okay, then let's get on to the second movie, because I gotta go to bed. I'm tired. Puss in Boots. I'm not even going to say too much about this. This is the first time 3D movie has actually hurt my eyes and made me, like, you know, feel dizzy. I'm like, oh crap, I'm gonna throw up. Because basically, this is probably the best 3D movie I've ever seen in my life. Because it was awesome. Fan-fucking-tastic. Basically, the first thing the movie does is like a close-up of Puss. He's like standing like this at the camera. I was like, fear me if you dare. And it's like, because he's so close, he just sticks out of the screen. It's like your eyes go cross-eyed. And it's like, oh fuck, what's going on? My head's gonna explode. And it's fantastic. The story in this film starts out a little weak. Like just trying to set up what a badass Puss is. But we already know that because we've seen, like, who hasn't seen Shrek 2 but then decides to go see Puss in Boots? You shouldn't. I mean, I guess some cat people are going to be like, oh my god, a movie starring a cat with boots, I gotta go see it, I haven't seen the others, but I go see this. But, fuck them. Most people have seen Shrek. They know that Puss is a badass. But once you get into the backstory, you stop worrying about where the hell this thing's going to fit in with Shrek continuity, and it becomes a genuinely interesting film about just the friendship between Puss in Boots and his turncoat ex-friend Humpty Dumpty, which is kind of funny, like, because I'd like to envision what Swedes will think of this film, because Humpty Dumpty's not a known quantity here. No one knows who Humpty Dumpty. I mean, I know Humpty Dumpty, but I was raised here, but I was raised with American fairy tales. I know about Humpty Dumpty sitting on a wall, then Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. I know that stuff. Because I grew up with that crap. I listened to it all the time. But I'm starting to wonder, like the same thing with Rumpelstiltskin in the last movie. I don't even remember, like I think they tried to change his name. I don't even know, maybe they did call him Rumpelstiltskin, but it kind of felt like they maybe changed his name because that name was too hard or something, or it wasn't, like, you know, pronounced as easily in Swedish as it is in English. But it's always been kind of funny to see these characters that are not established fairy tale characters here be used in these movies. And I like, just sum it all up, this movie has fantastic animation. It has a plot which really engaged me a lot more than I thought it would. It's not close to Shrek or Shrek 2, but it's better. It's way better than Shrek 3, and it's better than Shrek the Shrek Forever After, which I kind of like too. So yeah, this is the best Shrek movie since it's the best Shrek related film since Shrek 2. And I would like to say that like when this movie ended, I kind of felt like, yeah, I liked that, but don't make a sequel. I mean, they probably are, or maybe they've already announced it, but no. I would like to see a donkey movie, but and I say that very very, very carefully, because god damn it, I found Puss in Boots kind of annoying, but god damn it. Okay, no, I do not want to see a donkey movie. Can you imagine a 1 hour and 45 minute of Eddie Murphy by himself playing the donkey? Oh god, that would be awful. But anyway, yeah, I really enjoyed this film. But one of my problems with it is that it falls into that trap that How to Train Your Dragon managed to completely avoid. And that is, you know, the use of modern music. Without saying too much, you know it's not going to end with Puss dying or anything. At the end of the movie, there's a scene where Puss is basically doing these acrobatic moves along with Lady Gaga's Americano. And unlike the climax of Shrek 2, where you have Shrek riding on a giant gingerbread man along to the tunes of Jennifer Saunders, I think it is, singing I Need a Hero by Bonnie Tyler, this is a current song. I Need a Hero was over 20 years old when Shrek 2 came out. Or maybe it wasn't over 20 years old, but it was about 20 years old. That was an old song, so it was already sort of retro, which made it okay. But Americano's a song from 2011. It's a song from this year, which means that as soon as Lady Gaga puts out a new album, it immediately dates your movie. Don't do that. Don't use you could have just as easily, at least in this scene, and I was thinking that when I saw it, you could just as easily, if not even more effectively, use an instrumental score. I think they had, like, not James Newton Howard, but they had, so maybe it was. They had a big fucking, like, a big fucking composer on this film. Have him make a good orchestral score like everything else. Don't end your movie on Americano by Lady Gaga. That just doesn't work. But yeah, I don't really know what else there's to say about that. I liked it. 3D was amazing, so it's one of those films I really feel like you should go see in the theater if you want to see it at all. Because, honestly, when this movie comes out here again, I'm going to try and, like, you know, pull with some friends and just say, hey, come on, let's go make a movie that's going to make us throw up because it's so fucking in your face. I'm not going to say it like that because I'm not that ghetto, but yeah, you get my point. The third movie, which at this point I was afraid I was going to start falling asleep, which I didn't. I had Red Bull with me, which I didn't even have to use. It was a Swedish movie. Sweden has this weird obsession where we love to go to Thailand during the winter because Thailand is cheap and they treat Swedes like kings. I think Swedes like to be treated like royalty because they all know they're nothing but a piece of crap and don't deserve anything better than be treated like, well, pieces of crap. But they still, you know, like to go to another country where people are poor and really want their money. So we're like, oh yeah, we're cultivated. I go abroad. I go to Thailand and sit on the beaches and ride elephants in the fucking jungle. Oh, not wild elephants or anything like that. That would be crazy. No, an elephant which someone has tortured into submission so that I and other white assholes can sit on it and ride. And yes, I am aware that I pissed off all my friends on Facebook that watch this because they're like 90% of them love to go to Thailand. I do not understand or care at all. I went to fucking Tanzania, and unless the fucking the guide had stopped me, I probably would have been dead by now in awesomeness because I walked away from the path when we stopped for our lunch because that is how I roll. No fucking harnesses. I was going off to find a fucking lion. Because that's how I roll. That has nothing to do with this. But again, just to get you in the mindset, Swedes love to go on cheap fucking vacations to Thailand, sit on beaches, get tans, and drink cheap alcohol, while Thailand, like Thais, serve them as if they were mini royalty. It's disgusting, and I don't understand it at all. But that's also because I'm not Swedish. At least not in that aspect. But there's this big thing about that. And this movie, the third movie we got to see was a Swedish movie, which is about this guy who is called One Time in Phuket, or En gång i Phuket, as the Swedish title would be. And it's about this dude who gets fed up with his life, quits his job, and goes to Phuket to write a book. Wow, it kind of seems like they just threw together that whole plot point from Midnight in Paris with Michelle Pfeiffer and made a movie out of it. I guess that's pretty much it. He goes to Phuket, and yeah, he meets a girl. A girl he meets at a funeral leads him there, and then he meets another girl when he's down there, and obviously because the other girl he meets down there is way hotter, he of course falls in love with her, and they're made for each other, even though he kind of seems like a boring dude that doesn't really have a personality, and he's not really that handsome either, but apparently they're made for each other. And it's a stupid Swedish romantic comedy, which I have to confess, the only reason why I probably really like this film is because I do not see Swedish films. Almost at all. In fact, I broke my own record, like my own streak of Swedish movies in a row, when I directly after this movie went home, slept for like 3 hours, could not sleep anymore before going to work, but I had a 3-hour window, so I sat down and I watched the first Swedish like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo trilogy film. You know, yeah, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. And you just, you know, because I know the David Fincher movie's coming out, I also ordered tickets to that, so I got tickets to go see that on Christmas Day, because Swedes celebrate Christmas on Christmas Eve, so Christmas Day is sort of like the big movie day, even though Americans don't understand that at all, because that's when they sit down and eat their turkey dinner and stuff. So yeah, I decided to get that over with, and then I proceeded, of course, to watch the rest of the trilogy and be slightly underwhelmed by what it was. But yeah, I'm not going to really talk about that because, of course, I'll get to that when I review David Fincher's version. But yeah, those were the 3 movies I went to see that night. The other two movies, which I'm also just going to talk about, like, glance over, because I'm really fucking tired, and I'm slurring, which you've heard now for a while. Thursday, I went to see Moneyball, which is, I don't even remember who the director is, but it's written by Aaron Sorkin, and it stars Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, which is a baseball movie also. And it's kind of interesting because of the fact that no one here plays baseball, and I don't know anything about I know stuff about baseball, I know the basic rules, I guess. Not any, like, intricacies of it all. I would say that I know baseball better than I know any Swedish played sport, which is kind of sad considering the fact that I have never seen a baseball game getting played. But yeah, so I saw Moneyball and I really liked it. It's a movie that feels like it's completely thriving on two things, which is the acting of Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill, along with Aaron Sorkin's screenplay, which has that same, you know, rhythm to it as his Social Network screenplay. The guy really knows how to make a screenplay, like, you know, really flow to the point where even though the subject matter they're talking about may not be the most interesting, if you really stop to think about, if you just, like, want to say, this is what these people are talking about, it still really works and becomes interesting because of the way the characters interact, the way the acting and the script complement each other. Basically, I was talking to a friend, I don't know all the stuff that Aaron Sorkin has made, but basically the two last movies I've seen that he's written screenplays for are films that if you just say like one sentence that explains what the movie's about, you're sitting like, I don't want to see that, that sounds boring as fuck. Oh, Social Network. It's a movie about how Facebook was made. It's like, oh, it sounds lame. But Moneyball. It's a movie about how to make a good baseball team when you have a minimal budget. It's like, oh wow, that sounds like a piece of crap. But both these movies are really good. So yeah, I really like Moneyball. And then I decided to bite the bullet and go to the first Swedish screening of Sherlock Holmes' Game of Shadows. A film which I was actually sort of, not impressed by, but I was surprised by it. I have to say, I really don't like the first Sherlock Holmes movie, and I honestly don't really like. I have not seen Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, and I have not seen Snatch, which I have, and are supposed to be probably like the most critically acclaimed Guy Ritchie movies. I will see those because I think those are probably the two movies that will make me either get him or at least be the movies I can respect. But I've seen a couple of his movies. Basically, I've seen Sherlock Holmes and I've seen Rock and Rolla, and I'm not impressed. They're okay, nothing more. But I did not like Sherlock Holmes. He felt stupid. He didn't feel like the Sherlock Holmes I wanted to read about. And I know a lot of people have been saying that, oh yeah, well that's like it was written in the books. No. You can say certain characteristics of this are more like accurate to what the Basil Rathbone version of the fucking 30s and 40s was, but guess what? Sherlock Holmes was not a fucking super fighter. He was not a guy that could like pre-read how moves were gonna do. Like, oh, I'm gonna punch him in the solar plexus, then I'm gonna fucking bash him on the fucking head so his balance goes all off, cause I'm badass like that. Sherlock Holmes was not fucking ripped, because people were not ripped like that back then. And I guess you could just say that it's better to have another I would probably agree with you on that. That it's better to have another reimagining than just trying to do what's already been done with Sherlock Holmes. But this felt like it was trying to be too extreme. Which, if I just compare to Rock and Rolla and to the sequel Game of Shadows, feels like it falls in line. Like that Guy Ritchie is a guy that cannot write characters that are normal, or like I guess he didn't write Sherlock Holmes, I don't think. But anyway, his characters that in his movies are not realistic characters in any way. They're overblown, and of course there's room for that. I'm not saying that every character in every movie is supposed to be realistic, but it kind of feels like the change that they made to Sherlock Holmes made me like him less. And also Irene, or whatever her name was, Rachel McAdams' character, she was kind of annoying. She was I love Rachel McAdams. I mean, even in Midnight in Paris, where she's essentially one of the characters you're not supposed to like, I really like Rachel McAdams because she's a beautiful actress that has a sort of warmth to her that very few modern actresses have. But I don't really think it's her fault. I just think that her character was a horrible character that I don't understand why anyone would be attracted to. And Sherlock Holmes in and of himself was kind of a douche as well. He was basically, you know, a British version of a Tony Stark with a less you know, like with less monetary cockiness and just overall like giddy, weird, crazy skittishness to him. I didn't really like it that much, and I think in a certain way Game of Shadows is a better film, or at least a more, if not a better film, at least a more engaging film. Maybe, and I think I try to attribute this to a friend who liked the first one, who's going to go see the second one the night after me. I try to just say that I think the reason why I like it more, slightly more at least, is because of the fact that it's fucking Professor Moriarty. The first movie had a protagonist, granted played by the always fun Mark Strong, but it had a protagonist that, I mean, it had an antagonist that you did not really care about, at least not the, like you know, the grand aspect of this is Sherlock Holmes. The movie ends with them pretty much alluding to, oh, Moriarty's behind all this. It's like, oh, Moriarty, shit, cool. I want to see the sequel. I want to see him go up against his nemesis. And that's what this movie provides. Sherlock Holmes against his nemesis. And that is a more interesting villain simply because of the fact that it's the villain we all associate Sherlock Holmes with. And I liked it. I think that Moriarty does come across as being this douche you want to see like die. You want to see Sherlock beat him. And it's kind of funny to see. They really do a good job of making the audience really see that these two are actually, like, you know, on parallel, like, intelligence levels with each other. They can read each other's moves really well. And the difference is that whereas Sherlock Holmes is not humble, he's just more curiously, you know, weird, and he kind of enjoys being curiously weird. Moriarty is a megalomaniac, and he really wants world domination and stuff. He's the criminal mastermind, and Sherlock Holmes is just kind of content with being the local genius that does witty, stupid things that are kind of you know, genius things, but only he and maybe a few others like Watson and maybe his brother can fully comprehend the genius level of. I'm just starting to get tired, so I don't even really want to talk about this movie's plot as much as just say, yeah, the action. I feel that where this movie really loses itself is when it becomes an action movie. The fights are worse than in the first one because they're even more ridiculously overblown, with Robert Downey Jr. pretty much being a psychic here, being able to like fully see exactly how every fight is going to go down before it goes down, and then just correct everything. There are scenes where it does the Zack Snyder slow-mo thing, slow-mo speed-up thing. And there's especially one scene that's been used in the trailers for this movie where they're running through a forest. Numi Rapace, who is pretty much the new... She's the new main character, like the new main female character, like a gypsy woman named Simza, who just sort of strikes up with them so they can have a woman in the movie. She doesn't really get a lot of stuff to do because this is a movie between Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. But... they're running through a forest where cannons are blowing apart all the trees around them, and the movie just, you know, stops, and then does this whole thing where they're like standing still, and the movie just goes, just like slides around them really slowly, and it's like, oh my god, it's so epic, and it's really fucking annoying, and it's not cool. It's not cool at all. In fact, that's when I'm like, you know what? I just wish this movie would be over faster, so please can you just, you know, get back to telling the story in real time, or like stop slowing it down so it takes even longer for me to get out of here. I really hope they don't make another one. Like, I kind of feel like again, with Puss in Boots, this movie does have a pretty stupid ending that attacks on to itself to allude to a sequel, which this movie hasn't really been giving that much of a response, and last time I heard, it was like it had a very, very mild box office release. It looked like very much less than they thought it would. So I don't think this movie's going to have a sequel. I'm pretty glad it got a first sequel, which I felt like helped me get some appreciation out of this whole new Sherlock thing. I think I would like the British Sherlock TV show they have now better, which basically took Sherlock and put him in modern day instead. That sounds more interesting to me. Mixing it up in an even better way. Not just taking Sherlock Holmes and making him crazy, but taking the overall setting and changing it to something more radical. I think that's all I want to talk about right now. I mean, I'm gonna try for Thursday to go see, what is it, Martha, Marcy, May, Marlene, because I really want to see that, but I'm holding off of buying a ticket to it because I'm kind of nervous that they'll want me to go into work earlier, and since it's Christmas, I need money, and I'm going to wait for that, but I really want to see it because otherwise, as I said, Christmas Day where movies come out, so I'm going to go, on Christmas Day I'm going to go see Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Boxing Day, which is the day after Christmas, I've learned a lot of people don't know that, the day after Christmas Day, I'm going to go see Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, I think. And that's why I really want to go see Marcy, Martha, May, Marlene on Thursday, just so I don't have to go see even more movies, because I'm going to have enough work cut out for me. God knows, maybe I want to go see New Year's Eve again, which comes out on Christmas Day. Never, never, ever. Never. I might buy it if I find it for like $5 one day, but never more than that, no. I think that's it. You understand my ramblings. I'm tired. I gotta get to bed because our store is closing later this week. We're not closing till 10, which means that all my days are going to be longer than they usually are. And I'm not going to get a whole lot of movies watched. I'm not going to get a whole lot of writing done. So I better just, stop here. And, yeah, I'll make a video about various stuff later. Probably the most recent will be my Girl with the Dragon Tattoo stuff, or something. I've been working on a video with a friend, but I'll explain more about that later. Bye.